Hello and welcome back to unsquashable.tv and on our Facebook page unsquashable.com. You join us for the men's final here at the AJ Bell ESF European Championships, live from the David Ross Sports Village at the University of Nottingham. With me, lead commentator for this event, Josh Taylor. We'll be joined shortly on the introductions of these two fantastic players. Apologies for that short delay. We're now joined with Paul Walters as he introduced these two players ahead of this final match, the men's final of the AJ Bell European Individual Closed Squash Championships.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the men's final. These two players have enjoyed a distinguished rivalry. From the very early days as junior players, remarkably, they have played each other 42 times in competitive matches. The first player onto court is a former world number one. He's the highest ranked English player in the championships. It's only the second time he's ever played this tournament. Please give him a warm welcome from England, James Willstrop. His opponent is playing his 13th European Championships. Remarkably, he has reached the final on every occasion. Today, he is looking for his 10th title. Please welcome the current world number one from France, Gregory Gaultier.
So I'm joined live in the commentary box for this men's final with resident head coach here at the University of Nottingham, Richard O'Connor. Thanks for joining me, Rich.
Yeah, no problem. Looking forward to this one.
So this looks like a stellar lineup for this men's final. It's the final that we all wanted. The two informed players at the back end of last season. Obviously James reaching the final of the World Series in Dubai at the end of last season, and Gregory Gaultier in fine form. He's won pretty much everything going for the last 6 months. The list of titles is racking up for him. Both players aged 34, so trying to get every last bit out of their career. What do you think we've got to look out for in this final, Rich?
Well, I mean, you know, they've both reached the pinnacle. They've both reached world number one. They've got superb techniques and just the court craft, the knowledge, the ability to almost read the game, second to none. And you're just watching two people who are not injured, looking in good shape. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be really good to watch. I think for the aficionado, if you're looking for how tightly they play down the wall in the setups and everything, and then how quickly they try to, if you're in a bad position, how quickly they try to compound your misery and get you moving.
I think a big standout for me watching James through this event has been how his movement has been so smooth and efficient. And I think when James is moving in the way that he's moving at the moment, you know that you're in for a store, because he's always got that shot making ability, and you add on top of that, a layer of is moving, and it's puts him right at the top there. Greg's been given no one any space whatsoever this tournament. He's dispatched of everyone with ease, really, as he's moved into this final. It's shown signs that he wants to kick off this season the way he finished last season. It's going to be an interesting final. What's your prediction for this one, Rich?
I think Greg's got to be the favourite. James is going to give a massive account of himself, and he will certainly have the ability to send Greg off into a few corners. It's great to see how people can have longevity in squash. I mean, in my days, I think you're on borrowed time from 30 onwards, and if you survived without injury, you were lucky. And nowadays, you're looking at these two, and Nick Matthews, for instance, and they're all in mid-30 area, and they're still in great shape, and they carry all that experience with them and all their racket skills, and it's so good to learn from people like that. So, yeah, for everyone who's watching,
you dodged a score nicely there, Rich. Go on.
Okay, if you want to score, what am I going to say? I'll give James a game if he's lucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to go for 3-1 to Greg.
Yeah.
I'll go for a firm 3-1. I think James has shown some really good signs. Their last time they faced, Greg won 3-love recently, actually, in French League. I know the leagues aren't always the best indication, but that was the last time they came up against each other. So certainly would look towards a Greg win. I think his form recently would show that. Both players.
Long-term mates on the circuit. I mean, coupled with Nick Matthews, they've spent so much time around the world tournaments together. They're all friends. It's a very small circle. Top squash. You might be touring with 30 people. If you did that for most of your career, you'd know them pretty well, which they do. So
yeah, these two will have come through juniors all the way through together, both at 34, very similar age.
So where you see any arguments, there'll be nothing really to do with each other. They know each other so well. So let's hope the referees don't get involved.
We saw a few decisions yesterday in the James Borker game as it started to get towards the latter stages.
Yeah,
a bit of inconsistency, I thought, but hopefully we won't see that in this final.
Yeah, it's a thankless task. We always use that expression. I think if a referee allows the game to flow as much as possible, as long as it's not being a disadvantage to some player, then that's the best thing to do. Try to encourage them to get on with playing the game, with hitting the ball.
Got a bit of a back wall of the great and good of Nottinghamshire squash there. Got the Lord Mayor in presence for these finals, and some good figures. Dan Tilley, Director of Sport here at the University of Nottingham. Nick Hargreaves, manager over there, not too far away at the Park Squash Club.
Squash Club, yeah. There's Gwaine Bryars, who's been top 4 in the world in his day.
Sat next to Lewis Walters, who was joining me earlier on.
He's going to be my assistant at Nottingham Uni this year, with Mark Fuller, the two of them.
So here we go, we've got Greg in the red to serve to start this final.
Championships, University of Nottingham 2017.
Much weighted encounter between these two fine players.
Greg's in his England colours. So.
Best of 5 games. Love all.
Interesting how short delay to start proceedings was. We were waiting for James to be ready to go on.
Yep.
Kept Greg waiting.
And out.
So a cautious rally, and who goes in first to the front? James hits the winner. tight ball.
No, 1-1.
Now, Greg, one of his trademarks is he likes to just kill down on the ball and chop it a little bit short. And, you know, when you can hit good power to the back like that one, you don't know whether to stay up or to stay behind.
1-1.
And when he's playing with that same sort of swing and chopping it in short, that's how he gets a lot of winners or a lot of pressure on people. So different to the way James plays, which is a lot more of the control and the touch into the front, slowing the ball up with a little pace down the wall.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup, isn't it, in between the two styles? Both quite attacking, but in different ways. Players just trying to find each other out in these early stages. Just trying to create and work the opening.
Yes, right. 2-1, left side.
For those that are interested in the way different coaches teach movement, one of the things that you can watch is how many times Greg would play off what's called the back leg, the leg that's nearest the back wall, like there. It was off his back leg. Okay, that's different. Oh, nice shot. But Greg will play off the
3-1.
back leg in each case, closest to the back wall. Whereas right-handers would normally on the backhand side play off the right leg, which is the one like that, like James just did. So the two nations are sort of taught their players slightly differently, but I think, you know, then they realise that you just, as a pro, you just got to be able to take it as it comes. It doesn't really matter whether it's the correct foot anymore. So
I think there's a lot of adaptation now in the game, isn't there? And
yeah,
players look to go off both feet, left, right, and together at times, and trying to find the most comfortable position and best position to play the ball. Often the fastest way to get to the ball now in terms of style of movement, rather than necessarily trying to get always into the perfect position. Do you think that's something to do with the speed of the game and lighter rackets, or is it just the culture of the game, Rich?
Yeah, it's a combination. I think you don't have the long attritional rallies of my day, and when 2-hour matches were regular. So you can afford to take more powerful movements, which are muscular movements, like that. You see that, how much that took out of them.
Nice hold there from James, just trying to show some variety from the front corner.
Even if you're a pro watching this, you can appreciate the speed with which they're taking it all the time, and how they hate to be cleared off the middle of the court. They love staying in the middle as much as possible. They're always reluctant to leave the middle.
Greg's trailing leg, often he tries to keep as close to that tee line as possible, saving himself as little movement as
Greg's building up a lead here, and this is what we said. I mean, you and I talking earlier, who's going to be the favourite today. Greg seems to be opening up that little bit of a lead.
I think it's the tempo that Greg is able to play at, which we haven't seen a player who's able to raise it to a level with the precision required to put James under enough pressure in his shot making yet. We started to see that a little bit with Gaultier yesterday, but
6-2.
It takes a player of Greg's calibre to take James out of his comfort zone, I think.
I think if Greg looks after himself a couple of tournaments, he's not playing too much, I was going to say, he's going to have a great season.
Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? We saw Nick do that towards the last few years of his career and starting to be a bit more selective in which tournaments he chooses. Trying to get the best out of his body all the way through the year. These two guys getting to 34 will probably be looking to do the same this season. Obviously for James, Commonwealth Games coming up this season. It's a big highlight in the year to look forward to. For Greg, it'll be titles he'll be after: World Championships, British Opens, keeping that #1 spot.
His accuracy level, Greg's accuracy level, really good. Yeah, another mistake from James. So James didn't spot 2 boasts in the last couple of rallies, and he's made a couple of errors. And there's 4 points in it straight away.
That's a great hold and then pushing it back.
3-7.
Just more of a natural hold in his swing on that backhand drive.
He's got it, and that was as a result of the tight one from James down the wall, which Greg had to open up an opening for him.
Not seen James use the height in quite the way that we've seen in the earlier matches in this tournament
I
yet.
was just thinking that too. That was
8-4.
I think that's been the standout thing in his matches is, as we all know, his quality of skill. It'd be important that he gets that into this match.
it's a very clever shot of Greg's. There's a player, Ross Norman, who used to do the same thing. It's a boast from the back, but it doesn't really get across the court. It's a
very fine.
Yeah, fine one that finishes round about the middle, but not. I don't mean the middle of the court. I mean up front in the middle. Really took
More
James.
like an Aussie boast. Fine angle.
Aussies boast all the time, don't they? And Greg seems to pick up a lot of James's shots. So, oh, that's a good one. Wow. Yeah.
Well played there from James.
Acknowledged from Greg.
Timed out.
There we go. Action replay.
See, when James shaped up for that, he could have done anything. He could have gone down the wall. He could have dropped it in the short corner.
Yeah, great finish.
I think that's what he's got to do, James. He's got to be using all his skill with hitting winners, because I don't think he's going to get much out of Greg in any sort of rallying sense. Greg's
6-8.
It's a nice touch there from Greg.
Yeah.
Making the most of that loose ball.
9-6.
Brings him ever closer to game balls in this first game.
both got a lot of respect for each other.
Greg just questioning the decision on the
7-9.
whether or not that ball was up, but James is normally one to call it if it's not.
Yeah, didn't see any deflection or anything.
No.
Oh.
Up
Again, Greg's
and out.
chopped that one in short and straight, but
10-4.
James has left him a
More.
couple of times that opportunity, hasn't he?
He's looked to take the ball in quickly, Greg, rather than getting it to stay up very short in the court, looking more to chop down on the ball and use a bit of pace and take it quickly.
Very quick 10 minutes.
So Greg takes that first game 11-7. I think that was
James made at least 3 errors there, so some of that lead is just errors. Greg's hit some stunning winners into the front. You know, a lot of people would say not touch, but it's supremely accurate. It's just a chop in, very accurate, goes exactly where he wants it to go.
It's relatively error-free as well, the way he plays it.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's going to need James to start to use his variations more in this second game. I think that's, you know, his standout level of skill that's shown in the earlier matches. The use of height hasn't really come in yet, but it's to be expected in a final like this. A bit of pressure and
there's one of the mistakes.
new ball. It's always going to be a bit more lively and harder to get the variations in.
Now this game would have taken absolutely nothing out of either of them, really. Too short to make a difference in terms of if it goes a long way. James's game yesterday had a few errors in it, didn't it?
Yes.
But he was just coming out on top because there were more winners than errors. Whereas today, he can't quite put the ball away against Greg. And it's been done to him, unfortunately.
Both players back on court. Going to kick off this second game.
Gaultier leads 1 game to love. Level.
So that velocity of hitting
And the way that
coming through.
they're hunting that volley all the time. Another mistake, James.
1 love. And out, 1-0.
Lots of pressure in that chop from the back there again.
How low it stays, that ball that Greg plays in. It forces his opponent to lift up on the ball or be under pressure on the next shot.
There's James using that high tactic. Greg's a match for it though.
Ah, that's beautiful.
Beautiful setup.
And out.
Can't afford to leave that ball there for him.
James is just getting no rest, is he? He's just getting no.
Greg is finding a way of staying in front. He's got into his rhythm here.
That is a superb counter drop. That's what I think he does so well.
3-1.
So strong in his movement onto that ball.
tight. Out of trouble with brilliance.
Oh,
Oh, mistake.
just trying to do too much there on that volley, I think.
Working up the lead again.
Yep, it's built up that 3-point lead. Early part of this second game. It's just those winners versus errors. It just doesn't look like there's a lot of ways of breaking down Greg. He looks so strong in his movement and so accurate in his shots, and forcing James to try everything to put some pressure on him.
Relentless pace, relentless. Just forced into the error, or just the impatience, or having to take a little bit more of a risk.
5-1.
Yeah, I think he just knows there, doesn't he, how good that shot has to be against someone of Greg's quality. I mean, earlier on there, you saw him just stroll up to those and pick them off. Really have to be perfect to win a point against him at the moment. The form he's in with the movement quality is so hard to break down.
I think he knew it was coming yesterday. Do you remember him saying at the interview after his match yesterday, he was pleased that he didn't have too hard a match, and got the semi done in 3 games because he knew that he was going to be moved like mad against Greg. So I don't think that's a negative thought in his head. I just think it's an acknowledgement of how well somebody else is playing.
Sometimes it's good to acknowledge that, isn't it? It just allows you to settle in the situation. And
Greg read that, but he wasn't up to the skill.
great finish there by James. And just that intensity of hitting
It's just
from both players.
it's amazing to watch the. I'd like to know the sort of shots per minute of the sort of semi-finals, and then
Compare it to this.
compare it to this. You just find it, it's so much higher.
The tempo's so fast, isn't it?
Right side.
So great to see 2 players in such good form coming up against each other. So far Greg looking the better of the 2, but James finds himself at 4-5 in this second game.
Down.
Oh, it's an unusual error.
5-all.
He looked like he wanted to take that a little bit earlier and was forced to just take that step back, but didn't
He
quite
still-
have the spacing, did he,
Yeah.
Rich?
Still wanted to attack those.
Down.
They're so honest with each other, and you know, it's, something that makes the match pleasant, doesn't it? When you've got somebody moaning about decisions and getting in the way, and
such a nice brand of squash from both of these players, isn't it?
Right side, 6-5.
Use that front wall just starting to come in. Both of these players.
oh, what a recovery that was!
He has to be in such a strong position. That topspin drop, doesn't he, in that backhand side?
Yeah. Oh, this is quite a brutal rally.
The quality of squash is right up there, isn't it?
Tightness down the walls and.
Oh, I think that's got to be the rally of the match so far. That
cracking rally.
Left side, 7-5. To Willstrop.
Yeah, just a very unusual loose ball from Greg at the front, James right behind him.
It's interesting seeing James use that adaptation in the wrist to turn that into a trickle boast to open up that situation. Just showing his late ability to change the angle of the ball.
Now, if you think about the last 5, 6, 7 minutes, James has cut out a lot of errors, hasn't he? Which he did in the first game. And look at the difference it's made to the score. It's a great tight ball from Greg. Oh, I just spoke too soon, didn't I?
It was definitely on. James trying to really make the most of that opportunity and just clipping the top of the tin.
That was a good hold.
Just showing a few different options from that corner.
I think he showed the front corner to Greg there quite a bit, didn't he? He showed the front corner. He's dragged Greg up onto the right-hand side up front there and then played to space.
It's the order in which he's played those shots as the game's unfolded as well, Rich. He's shown a trickle boast, he's shown the cross-court straight.
The trademark kill from Greg from long range.
7-9.
And make it. Greg was so early onto that one, wasn't he?
Just reading the shot from James. Really are getting treated here to some really high quality squash from both of these players.
Yes, left.
And just an accidental interference there.
8-9.
Referee just playing to allow both players to settle. That's it.
Absolute top
Immaculate
quality.
finish.
Top quality.
And out.
Yeah, he's held it together. I mean, he's kept the error rate down. And he's played some superb winning shots.
Yes,
Maybe
left.
left there.
It's fair, just not quite getting the line.
That wasn't really worth complaining about, Greg. I think it came back quite a long way.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You know, the
Yes,
line
left.
to the
10-8,
ball
game
was
ball.
where Greg was stood, so. Oh, unbelievable get from Greg there.
Out.
Out of court.
just
And
picking it out.
James, hats off to James.
Game
He's
to Willstrop. One game
turned
out.
that around. That is a great performance from him.
I feel treated there, Rich. I think that was one of the games of highest quality squash from both players. James just upping his level, reducing the errors, but also hitting some unbelievable winners to take that game.
This little spell where he stayed on the backhand wall, not there.
I think what stood out for me, as you rightly pointed out, was James just took a few of the errors out, but also got a few more winners into it, and I think that's all that changed to result in that points difference there. It's going to be interesting to see if James can keep that together and keep that error and winner rate as it was in that game. It's going to have to be that way if he wants to take this title. Greg's movement still just stands through. Unbelievable amount of balls that he's able to get back, even under so much pressure.
That was the amazing fortuitous end to the rally there. I think James had a little smile on his face after that rally because he knew he was right on the end of it and managed to get in the winning push drop.
James first back onto court, showing some urgency.
So you and I both still right for the 3-1, yeah, but
Still on.
James looked good there.
One game more. Willstrop to serve. The ball. Yes, right. The ball.
Both players coming out with quite a high level of tempo in this open exchange of our third.
Oh, that is so good. The long arm of the law.
There we
Don't
go.
play it in the middle. I'm going to do this. Look at that long reach. That's an opening.
2 left. Right side. Right.
Interesting thing to see for me would be if James can keep the quality that he had in that second game throughout this whole match, because he really did lift the bar. It's definitely a double bounce, that.
And out.
Sometimes quite hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, that deadly long range cutting shot from Greg. Superb shot. And again, that controlling pace, just down the wall with a little bit of height, just making sure it's really tight, nobody can attack, but as soon as he's got the opening. Oh, he took it on.
4-1.
James finds himself 4-1 up. Combination of winners and errors. Errors off Gaultier's racket, just like that last one.
Yes, there it is again. That just comes in so quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's so hard to read as well,
like
because
a
the
cannon.
pace of the swing, it looks like a ball that could go long. And he just chops down on it so deceptively as well.
Straight to Gaultier.
Bit too much straight down the
3-4.
service box area, so an obvious stroke. No let.
4-all.
Yeah, that's the quality of that ball. We've seen him play and game winners off that ball a few times.
Backhand again. Severe, really severe. And the back all square. Nice one from James.
And we're just starting to feel a bit of a charge from the Frenchman here. Key points in this third game. Could be a key momentum shift, really.
Slowed it down.
Match length just hitting 30 minutes. That ball was clearly in, I thought, Rich.
5-4.
Wouldn't like to say. Again, a superb counter drop.
6-4.
James got to find a bit of that magic again. I think he's just given Greg a few too many opportunities on this backhand side to slot that killer backhand.
That's a great get from James. In a comfortable position, but keeps himself in the rally. Still not looking to lift as much as we would have thought from James so far, I don't think, Rick. Maybe getting drawn into the pace of the French general.
Oh. Lovely wide cross courts. Can't cut them off.
There's a change of pace. Another long rally here.
Oh, what a recovery.
Late little turn. Movement so strong from Greg. Yes, he gets that one back as well. Unbelievable court coverage. Just able to get everything. Just forces James to have to go for an outright winner.
Again.
Both players definitely at their upper levels of lactic acid capacity here, I think.
Oh, what a rally.
Unbelievable rally.
The pressure on there all the time.
I think that's the rally of the tournament so far for me. Unbelievable rally.
And you give him a striker and he slots it, but what a rally. Look at them bent over.
Both players definitely feeling that rally. Be interested to see how they follow it up.
Nearly saw what they had for breakfast, I reckon.
James just opting to ask the crowd a few questions to try and delay a bit of time.
5-6.
Lovely, and they take the ball on the half volley so much.
6-all.
1-all, 6-all. Who's going to win?
Couldn't be any tighter, could it, Rich? That's what the crowd want. What we're after here for our big final.
Lovely touch.
Great touch.
And he held that, so,
And out.
you know, all those shots that he cracks cross court and he gets such a good width on, and then he goes with a touch like that. It's so hard to read the change.
That's
What
a
a
great
shot.
shot. Just fading it across the front wall. James is showing his touch there.
He was
Greg
almost
not-
digging that from
7-all.
behind himself.
Greg definitely didn't see that one coming.
No. I love the mutual respect. Every time each of them hits a winner against the other, there's a lot of respect. Trademark backhand.
And out. 8-7.
Chops it in.
See that strings coming through that ball.
Yep, made him stretch.
And out.
I think Greg was disappointed with himself there, not quite seeing James' shot coming.
8-all.
Nothing between these two. Greg thinking that just touched out. Sure he's going to question it. John Mazzarella trying to control and tame the beast.
What did you think there, Josh? I didn't think it was out at all.
No, I just think it stuck down the wall. I thought it's one of those that just stays very, very straight. I didn't think it touched at all and bobbled. Greg clearly not very happy though.
All good signs for James.
Yeah. That always is the question mark around Greg and his temperament. But he's come out firing here. Seems to have responded at a ridiculous pace. Oh, here we go. He goes off again. John just trying to get his his points across, but Greg doesn't want any of it.
9-8.
They were both just being hard pros when James did that before. It's just being hard, standing your ground and smacking that ball. And I think that happened.
See how Greg reacts here. The last rally obviously came out at light speed. Again, just seeming to try and take his frustration out in the tempo of the game.
And you said about James looking like he's moving well, and that's a really good example of how well he's moving. Look at him, he's after that ball, he's really...
10-8.
He knows he's got an opening, he knows he's got him under pressure.
So here we go, he's got 2 game balls in this third game. James is trying to prove both of us wrong, Rich. Our prediction could go out the window here if he can get one of them.
I know.
And there we go. Capitalising fully on the frustration, I think, at the backhand there of Greg.
What a good game from James. That is a monumental game. That was well worth watching for squash lovers.
Yeah, I think we're still getting treated here, Rich. We're getting a real fight going on here between the two of them, but definitely more coming from Greg. And the level of the squash is unbelievable. Both of them playing their top level, I think. We saw that as they came through the earlier rounds of this event, how both really wanted this title, and James looked in fine form, but Greg was not letting up either. So be interested to see how this fourth game goes. See if Greg can keep his cool, not get too much more frustration going in John Mazzarella's direction. Again, I think low number of errors from James and high level of winners. What would you say, Rich? You're good at these stats.
He's changed. He's changed that first game. You know, it was easy to point out the errors, but he's playing a lot of shots that are working Greg out of position, and you know it is still a case of being patient because Greg gets them and fetches, and James has to keep on. You see those working shots all the time. He's looking to use the different spaces, play Greg into all sorts of areas of the court.
Really is a treat, this match, prize final. It's the final we wanted, and we're starting to see why.
James obviously being tall has to get down low, but he's using that extra reach, getting across.
Change of shirt colour for James. Now sporting the English white.
Now Greg obviously has to calm down. I mean, one decision of an outball shouldn't actually make any difference, as we all know. You need to control yourself.
Yeah, it always is the question mark with Greg, isn't it? His temperament when decisions he feels don't go his way, but I think they were legitimate there. It's like in these early stages of this rally.
James himself is using a lot of energy, a lot of pace. Trademark backhand.
Yeah, I think, like we saw in that back end, Greg seems to be taking out his frustration in the tempo of the rallies and trying to up it to a as fast a pace as possible. Match length now up to just over 40 minutes.
No let.
Let's give him a no let. I think the
Left
pace,
side, 2 off.
the pace with which Greg hit that one prevented the let.
Yeah, I think we've seen winners come there quite a lot for Greg, so referee's acknowledging it. James acknowledging the good shot after as well.
Oh,
Ooh.
to the floor.
Rare error from James. We haven't seen too many of those in the last 2 games.
3 love.
Just trying to force it a little bit too much. He's got to be careful here that he keeps that winner and error ratio that you keep looking at, Rich.
I like the way he came out with the extra pace. However, he has given Greg a couple of opportunities for winners and 1 error. So. Oh, superb.
Great hands.
Great hands.
That ball
But I
just
think
staying so tight.
The cross court he played down deep
4
did the damage.
4 left.
James's body weight was going backwards a little bit there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was just looking at how tight that ball stuck. Literally glued to the wall. As Greg finds himself 4 love up. It's a start he would have wanted to this 4th game.
Down.
And an error.
Another error.
3 winners, 2 mistakes.
5 left.
Mistakes from James. This will be tough to come back from.
Down. 6 love. And out. 1-6. And out.
Back on with a lovely counter drop winner. Really is pulling away now, Greg.
It's a big lead here.
And
Another error off
Look at that.
James's racket.
4 winners, 4 errors from James, and there we are.
yes, Fletch. 8-1.
Read it so easy, didn't he? Straight in.
Beautiful backhand drop from James.
He acknowledged that he didn't fetch it, but
Very honest.
I think the start of James there was more like, okay, I think this game is run away from me and I'm going for shots here.
Yeah, he's just got to find his range again and find the quality that got him those
lovely
2 games
drop.
earlier on.
There you go. Greg's looking to cover. He knows James is just going to
9-2.
take a little bit more risk and play some shots. It's a long way to come back from a 9-2 now. There you go. He had a go at it again.
10-2. Game
Not
ball.
playing with heart anymore for this game.
He's going to have to regroup and get back for that 5th game.
$11-2. Game to Gaultier.
Greg's
2
superb
games
little
all.
terrier around the front, covering stuff.
Interesting game. I think saw there a lot of errors off James's racket. Maybe a bit of tiredness creeping in, Rich. The intensity of the
Yeah,
game's
I-
catching up on him, or
I mean, if you look back at the first rally or two there, there was a lot of injection of pace from James. And was that needed? I mean, the game before, he was just controlling it well. He used a mixture of height and a mixture of pace. He was taking it early, but almost like a calmness in the 3rd game.
yeah, I think the pace that came into it early doors, I think, was going to favour Greg, and we saw that in terms of the results. So, be interested to see if James opts for using more height again in this 5th game, and maybe just looking to use a few more variations. Certainly got to take out the errors that wrapped up that game so quickly, really, for Greg.
I don't think the high pace lends itself to James putting a high percentage of winners into the front of the court. So
Yeah, it just starts to rush him a bit more, doesn't it? And not
Yeah.
give him the time that he needs to be able to put those away so effectively. Be interested to see what Greg does. It's got to be much of the same, really, keeping that tempo fast. Be a bit of battle of 2 styles.
I still think James will enjoy early season challenge. He's going to want to be able to replicate tough 5-setters for the season coming, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think this is valuable preparation, really, for the season, and I think it's showing the form James is in from the back half of last season, and he's gone away and put some work in over the summer, and it's showing. I think he's moving very well. He looks in good shape. Shot making is ever present. Maybe a little bit less in that game, but to be able to go 2-all and go to 5 with the current world number 1 is, particularly given the form that Greg has been in, is an achievement in itself. But there's a title at stake here.
All these top players will be looking for towards December with the Worlds. Don't want to keep injury free.
It's the art of trying to peak their seasons.
Level.
So Greg starts us off in this 5th game. The treat continues, Rich.
No left. 1 off.
Come on, give Greg that.
James looking that little bit more alert at the start of this 5th game.
Straight.
And out. 1 all. And out.
So quick onto that counter drop, and almost the little short angle that arose there was the thing that beat James. I just think it disrupted the movement to that ball.
Just lifting out the front. James trying really hard to stamp his quality on this 5th game. Using all of his variations, taking it in nicely.
He's going to get a stroke for that. So. Yes, Greg did fantastically while getting half of those shots back, and James was just relentless until the bitter end.
2 all.
Just showing a little bit of tiredness, James there, taking his time between points. Starting to approach the hour mark.
That's an interesting one. I mean, I know what it's like when that happens. It's you know you can hit the ball, and there's a moment when you feel as though your opponent might just be in the way. Then it just looks from other people's point of view that you weren't in the way. You should have taken the shot.
3-2.
Greg was very clever there.
Rushed ones, isn't it? You know, at the body where you feel quite flustered. It's trying to.
Greg was clever playing at the body there, and I think that's what won him the point, really. Lovely shot.
Great winner there from James.
Acknowledged by Greg. Good stuff.
And out. 3 all.
Some great squash. I mean, accuracy.
Quick hands from players. James using that height. Such a good length there. Oh.
That was a great hold. He threatened the backhand corner.
That's when James does his best, just the variations there in height and pace.
Yeah, there was 2 high ones, wasn't there? That really buried Greg, and wonderful.
It's a cracking whip there.
Just well read by Greg. I think he stayed in on James, and he gambled on James putting the counter in, which he did. So much experience that.
Oh, just an error creeping in there.
5-4.
Uncharacteristic really on James's backhand drop. Normally one of his go-to weapons.
Great burst.
And out.
Chopped in with a lot of cut. It stayed very low, didn't it?
Both players staying with each other. 5 all.
Good length on the full stretch by James
6-5.
to get it down that forehand wall, and such a lovely pace. Got the better of Greg there.
Yeah, he was just trying to force something there, wasn't he? No real need to force an angle out there, but quality from James.
Putting a lot into the pace, aren't they?
Stroke to Willstrop.
I think that's a little harsh.
I think
What
he
do you
got away.
think, Rich?
A touch harsh.
The quality of the ball, that was what I was looking at, and I think it was a very high quality ball from Greg here.
Conduct warning for inappropriate behaviour.
Look what the second bounce was. You know, second bounce was well within striking distance from James.
Referees trying to stamp their authority. I'm certainly getting our money's worth out of John Mazzarella anyway.
Great shot, a fantastic shot. Quick hands, really quick hands.
French corner giving a big shout there. Trying to get Greg up. Keep him positive.
Geez, a let, Greg.
Yeah, I think that's fair, isn't it? It's sat up.
It wasn't far enough away from you.
6-7.
That was just a reach over for James, really. It was a tight ball, fair call let.
And the error.
And out.
Gives James an 8-6 lead into this back end of the fifth game. Quite often crucial leads, 2-point cushion going into this part of the business end.
This is where you think, did James take a breather in that?
That's
Yeah.
right. 8-6.
You know what I mean? Did James take a
Yeah.
breather in that fourth? You know, he just
Yeah, take a little rest and recharge and off you go.
played a few shots, and he knew he was going to chase down for that game.
Still such high quality level in this match.
Oh, that's a cracking shot.
Both players bringing
So
the best out of each other, aren't they?
Yeah.
And out. 7-8.
A mistake, the reverse angle from Greg. It just took its time going around the walls.
And out.
Just gave
9-7.
James a good chance to have a pot shot down that wall.
So here we have it. We didn't predict this, Rich. James
No.
9-7 up in the fifth here.
Hats off to him. He's been caught some neck.
So we have it. We've got 3 match balls for James.
Match ball.
10-7. Championship ball.
Still a stunning player, isn't he?
The quality of the squash is still of the highest level. from both these players. Even as we hit the hour mark, quality hasn't slipped off and the movement's still strong.
I think James thought there was an outside chance of a
Yes, sir.
Stroke, yeah,
stroke.
I
Look
could
where
see
the
that.
second bounce was, right in the
10-7,
service box.
championship
It's
ball.
come quite far back.
I don't
hasn't
think
it?
Greg realised how far back that second bounce was.
And out.
It's one save from Greg.
8-10.
Perhaps a forced
Yeah.
mistake there.
Such a treat this match. It's the quality levels, both players.
Out.
Put it out.
There we have it.
What a
James
match.
takes it. 3 games to 2, 11.
That is superb from James.
That wins 3 games to
Superb.
2.
Greg was looking more
7-11,
powerful.
11-8, 11-8, 2-11, 11-8.
I think James upped his pace and he's kept his stamina right
Ladies and
through, hasn't he?
gentlemen,
Absolutely, I think
a
that's
truly
a really good indication ahead of the
remarkable
season
match.
for James. We'll
Before we
join
have a few
Paul
words
Walters
with the
courtside with the
2017
players as he just wraps up this men's final and heads into the prize giving ceremony.
truly great champion himself, Gregory Gaultier. While we prepare the court for the medal ceremony, if I could just ask James if he has the energy to just come courtside just for a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, James Willstrop. James, yesterday we talked about the match with Walker and that second game, and we said how crucial is that going to be in the context of yesterday and also today. You left everything on the court yesterday, you left everything on the court today. You must be delighted with that performance against such a great champion and the world number 1, Gregory Gaultier.
Oh yeah, I mean it's wow. I didn't really envisage it. I didn't know what to expect, but I think we're all probably in the same boat a little bit. So I just was coming here thinking, well, if I can win a match or so, then that'd be good. Or you just don't know really how things are going. But I feel fresh, and I had some good matches, as I said last week, which were crucial to helping me win today. It is the kind of defining factor, I think. What you see today, it's always a bit different in August compared to a couple of months in. It always settles a bit. I'm not saying that I didn't deserve it or anything, but I've played well. But yeah, it's certainly a little bit of an unknown thing you're going into. I was absolutely thrilled to come away as European champion. That'll do nicely. Thank you.
A few words about your opponent. He's been in this event 13 times, he's reached the final 13 times, he's been the champion 9 times. You've shared a remarkable career and rivalry with him. 42 times you've met from, I think, 16 years old as British Junior Champion. I'm sure you'd just like to say a few words about Greg and him and what he means for the sport and indeed for your rivalry with him.
Yeah, I mean, Greg's, where do we start with him? I mean, he's an incredible character, isn't he? And he's obviously achieved incredible feats in the game. He's had an unbelievable 16, 17, quite incredible, really. I think all the players are pretty much in awe of that because it's very, very difficult to do that, to keep so consistent over so many months. That's why you get to world number 1 if you're more consistent. And then he's obviously got this, a lot of contradictions, as you saw today. He was doing his stuff, and John, why weren't you giving him a conduct stroke? But never mind. Only kidding, John. But no, he's an enigma on the squash court. He's entertaining. People love watching it because he's exciting, and he's not one-dimensional. He shows his emotion, and people do love that. So he's been awesome for the game, hasn't he, over the last few years? And not easy to play, not always easy on court. He'll have a go at you, he'll get stuck into you, and it's always nice having done that to come out on top, because he doesn't make you feel good if you lose. But he's a champion, and I'm very, very proud to beat him today.
And finally, this championship, it is the start of a great year. Could you just share with us what your immediate, medium term, and maybe longer term goals are?
I'm not a big goal setter, Paul, to be honest. I just, especially at this point now, I just want to enjoy the weeks and the tournaments. As I said, I didn't really know on Monday what was going to happen this week. Couldn't have envisaged this happening if you'd have told me. So I just try, having had injuries and things, I just try to really play matches and enjoy playing squash, because I suppose I've realised at this stage that's what I want to do, and not make it so intense. And sometimes you can actually produce better stuff when you like that, I've found. So I'm enjoying doing that, and I just want to keep going from week to week, month to month, whatever it is.
Well, I'm sure everyone here, and I'm sure everyone who's seen this match has enjoyed that. We love to see you play. We love to see you play with a smile on your face. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for a great champion, James Willstrop. If I may now invite onto court the Lord Mayor of Nottingham, led by Zena Waldridge, Chairperson of the European Squash Federation. Zena, if I may just hand the microphone over to yourself, just to say a few words on behalf of the European Squash Federation.
Thank you, Paul. On behalf of European Squash, delighted to see you all here today. We've had some absolutely fabulous squash today, starting with the women's bronze medal playoff was an act between Colleen and Anela. Absolutely fabulous match, and ending up with that magical match that you've just watched, which is as good as you will see in any major international championship. So can I thank all of the players for supporting this event. We've had fabulous squash over the last 4 days. It's been a real joy to be here and to watch that. And also to the coaches who have been here, and they've been here all week supporting, so thanks very much to the coaches as well. Sometimes forgotten, but play a very crucial role. Can I also thank the referees who have been here, done a sterling job as usual. Without the referees, we don't have a competitive sport. They are volunteers too, so thank you all to the guys in red who have been here all week. Thank you to you. And to the other guys in red who are the volunteers sitting around and cleaning the courts, and thank you all to you, because without your help and without the volunteers, it's very difficult to run these events. So thank you very much. I think those of you who've been here the last few days and competing in this would agree this is a fabulous facility. It's fantastic to see these new facilities come on tap, and with this permanent glass court, makes University of Nottingham a venue for the future. Can I thank my colleague in University Sport, Dan. This is Dan's new facility that he's masterminded here at University of Nottingham. It's been a fabulous facility, also with a hotel within walking distance for the players. Has been fantastic. Dan, can I ask you to come on court, and I'd like to just give my appreciation to you. And also to the City of Nottingham, who have been very supportive of this event here. Thank you very much, Lord Mayor and Lady Mayoress. And we've also got a token of appreciation from European Squash for City of Nottingham. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And finally, without sponsors, we wouldn't have an event here. I'd like to thank the sponsors, University of Nottingham, City Council, AJ Bell as the title sponsor, and also to Sodexo as well for supporting on the catering side. Without their help, without the support, we wouldn't have a championship here. It would be very difficult to run those championships, so thank you to them as well. There is a team sitting behind that, and Paul, thank you, Paul, for Championship Director, playing Championship Director. You've had a really busy, not just these 4 days, but the period leading into it as well. Christine Bailey from the University of Nottingham has done an awful lot of work over recent months to get us to this point. So Christine, thank you very much. To Judy, who's also sat at the desk, and a number of others who have Judy, who's down there. Thank you, Judy. And an awful lot of others, and there's too many to name by name, but thank you all. It's been a really fabulous last 4 days. It's a shame to see it end, but wow, has it ended on such a fabulous demonstration of magical squash this afternoon that we rarely see. So thank you very much. And I'll hand back to Paul at medal ceremony. Thank you.
As Ina said, we are indebted to the support not just of this amazing facility, but also Nottingham City Council, and I would like the Lord Mayor to maybe say a few words.
Well, thank you very much, and my role often is to welcome people, to thank people, and to celebrate what Nottingham achieves. I owe an apology to the officials for not mentioning them on Thursday. I looked out the rules of squash. It says it's a non-contact sport, but I think only because of the quality of the effort the officials put in, it's really tough to make those calls. And I thought, I realised what a tremendous thing that adds to the game, that you have people who can make those kind of decisions. I mentioned Robin Hood on Thursday, because we always do. But we're also a city of caves. We've got far more caves in Nottingham than any other city in England. Bristol comes second with 3. We've got over 650. By the time we've probably catalogued them all, probably have 1,000 caves in Nottingham. And it strikes me that, with all due respect to that school in the south of England that says it invented the game, statistically, the place where people first invented the idea of hitting a ball back and forth against a back wall in an enclosed space must have been Nottingham. So I think, statistically, this week, we've seen squash coming home. Squash has come home. And we've got one of the 3 glass courts in the country. And of course, in case you've got any doubts about it, the person who first developed the idea of hitting targets by glancing the object off the side of a wall was Robin Hood. And if there's any doubts about that, just look at the Walt Disney film. So, squash has come home. Thank you all for coming, for making such a tremendous competition. It has been a thrill to see the final. Commiserations to the loser, because you were terrific. There is no question about that. It was a tremendous match. Congratulations to the winner. But thank you for coming to Nottingham, and I hope you share the good news of our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. If I'd now like you to show your appreciation for our 3 medalists from our 2017 AJ Bell European Individual Close Championships for the women. Please show your appreciation for our 3 medalists. And first, our bronze medalist from Belgium, Naila Guinness. Our silver medalist from England, Millie Tomlinson. And our 2017 women's gold medalist from France, Camille Cern. And again, ladies and gentlemen, please look. Could you please be upstanding for the French national anthem? And finally, please show one final appreciation as our finalists and medalists are preceded off court by our flag bearers. And to our men's medalists, please welcome onto court our 3 men's medalists.
Am I going to run up there to run back on?
And first, our men's bronze medalist from Spain, Gaultier. a 2017 silver medalist from France, Gregory Gaultier. And our 2017 European champion and gold medalist from England, James Willstrop. And now I ask for everyone please to be standing in English national anthem. And James, I'm sure, to close the championship, for sure, on behalf of all the players, just like to say a few words.
Thanks, Paul. Sorry in advance if I forget anyone, but I just want to say a great line to everyone who's worked behind the scenes here and headed up to the back wall. Thank you. Thank you to you, Paul, as well. Everyone within the World Squash and the European Squash Federation, everyone who's put time and effort, volunteers, thank you. Everyone in Nottingham, fantastic that Nottingham's a bit of a presence on the squash scene again. It has been very strong in the past. We've had some good big events here, British Open included, so it's good to be back playing here in an unbelievable facility, really. So thank you. Thank you to everyone who's come here today. The referees, thank you so much for all your support. I think the standard of refereeing is getting better all the time. Thanks to Lee and everyone working so hard. I think the standards are getting so good and we appreciate your support. Malk, I do want to say a big thank you to you. This one's for you, and I'm very grateful for everything you've ever done for me and coached me and helped me, and thank you so much. And a little shout to Vanessa and back home and my family who always support me. I'll have obviously forgotten somebody within this tournament, so please let me give an overall thank you to everyone who's been involved in this event. Of course, I've just remembered AJ Bell as title sponsor. I'll give a nod to them as well. Thanks everyone for coming. I hope you've enjoyed the squash. It was a pleasure playing on this court again, and hope to see you again. Thank you.
And finally, in order to close the championships, it's been an honour to present the event with the support of Nottingham City Council, the university, and in particular England Squash. It's been a real team effort, and we all appreciate the work that everyone has done. Christine, in particular, Dan, thank you very much. We couldn't have asked for anything more from this facility, and we hope that it is very much the beginning and a step forward for the sport, not just within Nottingham, but within the UK. We do thank you all. Thank you for supporting this. It's been amazing. The amount of viewers that we've had watching it on live streaming and on Facebook has been truly amazing, which shows the popularity of this great sport. You were treated to some wonderful matches throughout the week, and it was fitting that a great championship like this finishes with a great match by two great champions. Thank you very much, and we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you very soon at the future championships. Thank you.
So thank you for joining us on unsquashable.tv and on our Facebook page unsquashable.com for this the AJ Bell ESF European Championships. Hope you've enjoyed the event, and will join us soon for some more squash. Thank you very much.